Thanks for coming on. You hit me up about this a little while ago, so I can't remember if there's a link in the description. If not, someone remind me, and I'll put it in there. If not, I usually go back and put those in there. I of course read the piece in Jacobin that you did, talking about what Bill Gates is doing now. Why do you think it's so easy for him to have these kind of nefarious deals and people not question it too much? I feel like the only questioning of Bill Gates goes on in these leftist circles.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think it's an important question, because the truth is that it just keeps happening. There continue to be we kind of continue to be misled about what Bill Gates is doing, what he plans to do, what he says he's going to do. There's a lot of distraction going on. I mean, that's kind of my short take on it. There's a very sophisticated media team that is really there to kind of pump him up and pump up the image of the foundation, and to kind of make it clear to everyone that the two are kind of synonymous, which is, I mean, basically that is also kind of how Gates Foundation, people who've worked at the Gates Foundation describe it, that it is kind of, the whole foundation is kind of like an extension of Bill Gates' personality. But yeah, there's always some new exciting thing that they really want to talk about. And they are, and the media people at the Gates Foundation in Seattle are constantly kind of feeding those stories to the media, which is oftentimes, starved for, they're kind of lacking people. They don't have, they're kind of lacking for, maybe not for stories, but they're lacking for, they're looking for easy underhand pitches when they can get them. And so the foundation is often throwing them underhand pitches, saying, hey, look, here's some interesting statistic about kind of hunger in Africa, or polio in Pakistan or something. And along with these kind of interesting statistics, we've also got this great story about this heroic billionaire who's doing his level best to kind of end those problems. And if you're really good, we can help you out in some other ways. We can fly you, we can bring you over to our Seattle headquarters. We can give you interviews with, important people. We can connect you to experts and all the rest. And a lot of, at a time when kind of international media coverage, especially, coverage of from U.S. organizations outside of the U.S. is really particularly diminished. The news media is very happy to kind of take those stories and kind of follow their lead, and kind of allow the foundation to distract them from kind of the things that they said they're going to do, but they didn't do. And then also just kind of Bill Gates's personal failings and all that. So
in 2021, Bill Gates announced that both he and the Gates Foundation Trust had divested from direct holdings in oil and gas companies. However, your investigation revealed that the trust investment in fossil fuels have increased since then. Could you please elaborate on these findings and discuss the significance of this?
Sure. Well, I want to emphasize that none of this was too hard to figure out. I've kept an eye on the Gates Foundation for a while, and every once in a while I kind of dip into their tax returns and I say oh yeah, let's see what we've got here. And they're publicly available. ProPublica is a great database of nonprofit organizations' tax returns, which are public documents. Anyone can get them. You just go to their website, you type in something like the Gates Foundation, or any other foundation that you want to look up. The Gates Foundation is unique for particular legalistic reasons, in that they do disclose kind of all of their book assets. So that's all their investments in stocks and bonds and all the rest. And yeah, I just kind of tally them up and say, well, how much of this is oil? How much of this is coal? and kind of go back a few years to, to 2019, kind of when he said that when Gates said that they had begun divesting from oil and gas, and see, okay, what's changed. And what I found was that the oil and gas investments had gone up about 30% in that time. And some of the investments, I mean, you can say like, oh, well, oil was having a good year or something, or we're having a good few years. It wasn't like doing that well. So that just kind of stock appreciation doesn't explain the increase. And then if we look at particular stocks, particular holdings, so there's a company called Inpex, for instance, in Japan, and Glencore you mentioned. You can look at the stock value of that investment in 2019, and then look at it again a few years later. And I don't see any other way to explain it other than like they went and bought more stock in that particular oil company, or that particular, in the case of Glencore, an oil and gas company. I mean, oil, gas, and a lot of other stuff, but or oil and coal is Glencore. And that's kind of, I mean, I'm open to other possibilities. I can't think of what they are, but this is something else that's, worth mentioning, that I did reach out to them several times and say, hey, could you explain this? Could you, you don't even have to give me some like bullshit routine about how this was like, how we do such great like stuff with all this money. And, you don't need to like tell us about like where we invest our money, or whatever. I mean, you can just tell me how this number turned into this number in this amount of time. But they won't do that because they've never done that. I've done a lot of Gates Foundation stories, and it's very uncommon. I mean, actually, I don't think they've ever responded to my request for comments, and I've always asked them for comment.
Do you think this keeps you out of bigger publications?
Do I think that kind of like
your reporting and trying to call these things out, do you think that this keeps you out of larger publications? Call things out on people like Bill Gates, for example.
Sure. That's an interesting question. I hope not. I kind of think though, I mean, it's kind of hard to know sometimes. I think maybe earlier in my career there were, I kind of think that like, certainly 10 years ago, Bill Gates was like even more kind of venerated, and now he's kind of on another like public relations campaign. He's really trying hard to kind of claw his way back, and I mean, not claw his way back, to really kind of like just kind of prime his image again. But I think 10 years ago, yeah, I think I might have kind of, I won't say blacklisted, but I think certainly some people were kind of less excited to run a story that I wrote here and there.